Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, I am bringing to you what I believe to be the best deck for the second stage of the Duelist Cup. Now, why am I bringing you this deck in particular, and why do I think that this deck is the best? Well, that is exactly what we are going to explore. I'm going to show you some of the replays, but I am going to go in depth onto why Zoodiac Tri-Brigade, and more specifically, this version-ish of this build is so powerful, especially in a Duelist Cup. So, first things first, one thing about Zoodiac Tri-Brigade is the fact that the combos are incredibly short, and the amount of interactions that you put up honestly isn't all that much, meaning that honestly you're able to win games pretty quickly. You have the ability to go second with the Zoodiac stuff, to just go Zeus Turbo, wipe your opponent's field, and at that point a lot of people will just concede if a Zeus is just not going to really be outable, or you're able to go first and set up your Tri-Brigade stuff in order to just like control the game with things like Apollosa and Shuregg and just win through that. So let's quickly just talk about my decisions and what I did. I did obviously get to the highest rank, or the dual level 20 with this, but that's not really that much of an achievement. Now, I am saying that this is the best deck, but in all honesty, this could be a myriad of decks. I don't really think that there is one best deck. This is more so just what I believe to be best for me, as well as more specifically just what I feel like should have the easiest time winning for a wider audience. I think that there are definitely other people who will pilot other decks to more success. Like, for example, I think Branded will probably get the top spot, but that's just kind of my thoughts. Or some sort of FTK, who knows. So yeah, let's quickly do the card by card. So I'm going to go over everything and why I'm playing the ratios that I am. So this is going to be more in depth. We're obviously playing the triple Nerval. This is pretty standard, and the 2 Fractal. Now, notably, I'm also not playing Tri-Brigade or Tenki to search out extra monsters, and the reason for that is because we are playing so many beasts that honestly I don't really feel the need to search anything else with a Tenki. So Tenki is kind of just a dead card and can honestly turn off your Lightning Storm, which is another reason why I'm not playing it. Having something like instead a Foolish Burial to also get your play started is nice. However, if you want to play the Tenki, that's totally up to you. It adds a little bit more consistency to your combos, but it takes away from a lot of your disruption and the ability to disrupt. I never really found like I had not enough cards to really play the game. Oftentimes I either had too many cards that would interact with my opponent, like for example a lot of hand traps, but maybe not enough going like actual play starters like a Zoodiac or a Tri-Brigade name or something like that. But the thing is, if I had a lot of the if I had a lot of the hand traps, I would probably draw into one of the play starters, and that would just get my play started, and then I would be able to more or less play the game. And even if I didn't, my opponent probably couldn't play the game, so it didn't really matter. So yeah, we're playing the triple Nerval, the double Fractal. I'm also playing triple Kit because we are also playing the triple Cat, Rescue Cat. So I like to have more of the kit, and it's just another combo starter. You normal summon it, you go into the Owl Mirage, and you're off to the races. So just having enough names is very nice, and we're playing 2 Karos. Karos just happens to be the brickiest of them. I like having 2 because it's just nice to have a second one. As for the Zoodiacs, we have 1 Whiptail. Whiptail just happens to be like the worst of them, but it is nice to have occasionally to like just attach an extra material. Yeah, just having an extra name is nice. We have 2 Thoroughblade and the triple Ram. Ram just happens to be the best because it specifically is able to dodge Imperm. You could also do a Kata Roost, I believe is the name of it. The other Zoodiac that blocks monster effects, which is honestly not that bad. You could also do, I believe, is it Bunny Blast? Bunny Blast honestly isn't all that bad anymore as well, due to the fact that the what are they called? Runics are everywhere. I honestly don't really feel like I need to do anything to beat Runics. I've lost to Runics once with this deck, and I've played them like over a dozen times, so I really don't see a need to play extra cards to out specifically that deck. But if you want to, Bunny Blast is also an option. Kata Roost is probably a little bit better, but this is what I have put together. So yeah, you can play Kata Roost as well as the Ram. But yeah, Thoroughblade is very nice just if you have a Zoodiac heavy hand. Potentially you can get something like a Karos or a Nerval in your hand and something like that, and then continue from there. So there's that. As for a lot of the tech cards, we are playing a lot of hand traps. And I think hand traps are a little bit underrated in the current meta. They deal with a lot of different decks. Even something as simple as Runic is able to be stopped by things like Ash Blossom and Imperm. So there's that. So we have the one effect Veiler. This is just like copy 4 of Infip. Infip is absolutely crazy right now. A lot of people think that it's not as good as it used to be, but the thing is, it just stops basically every deck in the current meta. It stops Sword Soul, it stops Branded, it stops Tri-Brigade, it stops Runic, it stops basically everything. Best hand trap. I think a lot of people are cutting it, but they shouldn't. I don't know why they would. Obviously, Triple Maxi, absolutely crazy card, deserves to be banned. We have the Triple Ash Blossom. This card is so incredibly powerful at stopping so many different decks. Most importantly, it stops Maxi. Pretty simple. Don't really need to explain that one. We are playing the 2 Nibiru. Nibiru is actually very, very good even today in this meta, even though a lot of more control decks like Labyrinth and Runic and stuff like that are more prevalent. Nibiru is just a blowout against a lot of decks. Yes, there are some times where you will just draw Nibiru against a set 5 pass, and it's just going to be a dead card. But the thing is, you can also just shuffle it away with the Fairy Sheet, so it's honestly not as dead of a draw as you might originally anticipate. Sometimes it is, but honestly, it's still not bad. Next up, we have ourselves the Triple Infip. Yeah, it's just that good. Playing 3 of it. And then for our spells, we have ourselves 1 Harpy's Feather Duster and 2 Lightning Storm. Now, again, a lot of times, people are like, let's play Cosmic Cyclone instead of something like a Lightning Storm or a Harpy's Feather Duster to deal with Runic, right? The Runic cards, being able to, like, quick effect chain to their effects is very nice. However, the reason that we're not doing that is because we have 1, Shureg, which can basically do the same thing, except also target monsters if we need to, and we have Dryden, both of which basically do the same thing, which is deal with the field spell if you so need to. So being able to deal with a field spell is very nice. These are more so for powerful floodgates that my opponent decides to flip, right? So instead, I'm going to actually just Lightning Storm their back row, deal with a Labyrinth board, deal with a floodgate, deal with whatever it may be, potentially force out a negate as well, because potentially they activate their monster, or they have a attack position monster. You can deal with that. So yeah, lots of really good applications for Lightning Storm. Yeah, all in all, this is absolutely crazy. So there's that. Then we obviously have the 2 Called By, just kind of a necessity. Being able to draw Called By and just ignore one of your opponent's hand traps is very nice. Forbidden Droplet, we're only playing 2 of this because while it is good to send something like a Nerval or a Kit to the graveyard, it's not as useful in most games, just due to the fact that, like, you do have to send a card to the graveyard in order to negate the effect, and most of the time you're just using it to negate the effect. It's not like you have a barrier statue or something like that, but going second, this is just the better option over something like a Dark Ruler No More in order to deal with the opponent's monster effects. Yeah, that's basically it. And then, of course, the 1 Revolt. Yeah, just the 1. I don't think you need it more. If the 1 gets dealt with, the second one's not really going to matter, right? Now, as for the extra deck, it's a little weird because of a few options. So let's quickly go over those options. First of all, we have 4 Zoodiacs. We have the Tiger Mortar, we have the Borbo, we have the Choganine, and of course, the Dryden. All of these are basically in service of Zeus. You can go Dryden on turn 1 to allow you extra access to a disruption to like a field spell or a face-up card or what have you. This can also potentially dodge other such important effects like an Imperm or what have you with your Shureg. You go Dryden, they chain something like a freezing tip, what's it called? The Runic card that like negates the effect of a special summon monster. You Dryden, you pop your own Shureg, now you get a search as well as you get to banish their card without them actually being able to banish any of yours. Another really good little thing that you can do. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory there. And then of course, Zeus. The reason that we are playing this number is because you can go format Zeus with 3 Zoodiacs. You have the Tiger Mortar, the Choganine, and the Borbo, which keeps the Dryden available in case you draw another Zodiac. So you can go Zodiac into Dryden, into pop a card, into link it off for a potential other card. So that's nice. As for the Link monsters, we have the one Almirage to get rid of our Nerval and our Kit in order to get our combo started. We have one Double Dragon Lords, just to bounce cards, pretty self-explanatory. We have one Ferrigit and one Bearbrum. Honestly, it rarely comes up that I need a second one, and honestly, a second one most of the time doesn't do anything. So yeah, just running the one of each of these. Bearbrum to search out the Revolt, and Ferrigit in order to get your combos fully started and potentially shuffle back a dead card, like for example a Nibiru if you have full combo and you're going first, or a Lightning Storm for similar reasons, or like if you end up going second and you don't need something like a second Kit or something like that that's in your hand. You could potentially draw into something better. We have Doom Eagle. Doom Eagle is actually really good in the current meta as well because it blanks things like a Branded in red by shuffling back the monster. It blanks like a whole bunch of other like graveyard effects by shuffling them back. It's not crazy, but it can also get to 4,800, which again, against something like Runic, where they don't end on a whole lot of monsters, this guy can just help you OTK very easily. We have Rugal, which is, you know, pretty self-explanatory. It's normally what you will link off into if your combos get a little bit blocked, so that you can get the Bearbrum off the field to get the search. We have Apollosa. You go into the Apollosa mostly with 2 materials, with the Ferrigit and the Bearbrum, sometimes with 3. We have 2 Shureg. Now, normally I like playing 3 just because it does come up quite often that having that third one does matter, because then you can also use the Shureg as like a search, which is very nice. But we're only running 2 because I feel like it's almost necessary to run an out to like unaffected monsters, and that out is the Goddess. Goddess of the Closed World is just absolutely a house and is able to specifically deal with like unaffected monsters like the Adagnister monster, like the what is it, the Marincess monster, which I feel like you just kind of need an out to that. This could also be access code, and I could just link it away with a link 4 and then make a 6k monster, which normally is enough. But I think Closed Goddess is or Goddess of the Closed World is a little bit better. That's just my opinion. But yeah, this could either be access code or this one, whichever one you think is more necessary. I found access code like never came up. Normally if I was OTKing, the Shureg and the other such things like the Double Dragon Lords and what have you were enough. So there's that. I'm going to hop into the duels and show you how this deck performs, and let's go from there. Alright, so here we are going second, and we drew a phenomenal going second hand as well. We have the Ram. We're going to promptly Ash this Allure of Darkness. Pretty simple. They are going to actually pass the turn on that. I'm okay with that. It's not the greatest, but sure. We draw Called By. I mean, it's fine. We're just going to go straight into Borbo and go into a 4 material Zeus. So we're going to go Tiger Mortar here into a Choconine and then into Zeus. Now this is summon number 5. They don't have the Nibiru. Fantastic. We're going to set 2 and pass. This isn't crazy, but hopefully it's something. I see the Polymerization come down, and they are going to fuse into their Lubellion, which is fantastic for me because guess what? The 2 cards on our side of the field are going to deal with everything that they have. So they are going to activate their Tragedy. I will promptly negate that, as well as negate their own Lubellion. So now they basically have nothing, and we just have a Zeus on our side of the field. I'm going to just save the Zeus. There's no real point in doing it now. But seeing that we draw the Thoroughblade, this is actually pretty good for me, because now I can put them on a 2-turn clock. We can go 16, we can go 3k. This puts them down to 3,000 life points, so they basically have to respond to our Zeus. So if they don't, the game is now over. They realize that, and the game is over, and they concede. Alright, but what happens when we go first? Well, we drew the Rescue Cat, which is pretty nice. This card is absolutely insane if it goes uninterrupted. So we're going to go for the Rescue Cat here, and we are going to summon out 2 Kits since we already have Karos. We're going to link into the Ferrigit. Kit will dump a Nerval. Nerval effect will activate, and we will search out the Fractal. We're then going to special summon out our Thoroughblade, and then Xyz into our Tiger Mortar, and then into the Dryden. We're then going to special summon out our Karos because we had the Karos in hand. If we didn't have Karos, there instead we would actually special summon a Tri-Brigade and go for the Tri-Brigade stuff and use the Zoodiac as additional follow-up for the second turn. So we're going to go for the Karos into the Bearbrum, link all of those away into the Apollosa with 3 materials. We will then search out a well, we draw into Max C, and then we're going to search out the Revolt and put back the Fractal. With Revolt, we basically just have the ability to search out that Fractal anyway, so I think it's just better to do that. We also have Max C, so I'm feeling pretty good. Even if they have Ash, we can just negate it with our Apollousa. Out comes their one of Harpy's Feather Duster. You'll love to see it. So we're going to summon as many cards as we can from specifically the grave, because Shureg is able to search cards equal to the number of banished monster, search out a monster with a level equal to or lower than the number of banished beast, beast warrior, or winged beast monsters when it goes to the graveyard. So basically what I'm trying to do is keep at least 1 to 2 monsters in the banished zone, so at the very least we can search out a Nerval or a Karos or Kit, whatever it may be that we need if the Shureg goes to the grave. So that's why I'm summoning them from the grave in order to then put them back into the grave. Out comes the Shureg, and we are going to have our back row popped. We're going to then activate in chain the Kit, the Nerval, and the Ferigi. So we're going to search out the Kit and then shuffle it away because we drew the Whiptail. Now Whiptail, the reason that we actually keep the Whiptail here is because we can just equip it to the Trident. So if they end up having something that is like below 400 defense, then, like, you know, there's that. But more importantly, we are able to potentially boost its attack as well. And we can also use it as a follow-up again. So there's that. Out comes Dark Contract with the Swamp. We're going to pop the Swamp here because I'm sure they're almost baiting me. But in all honesty, because we have the 3-mat Apollousa, I'm not really all that worried. So they're going to try and search a Dark Contract. Obviously, I'm going to negate that. Obviously, they have the second contract, which is, you know, fine. They're going to go for the Lamia here. They're going to go for their Griffin, which is fine. They're under Max C. We're going to get a draw card. We draw the Thoroughbane. They're then going to go for Lamia. Not going to let that happen. We're going to negate that. And at this point, the game is over. They're going to go for Gilgamesh here. Gilgamesh is then also going to be promptly negated because, yeah, we're not letting that through. Even though we drew the Effect Veiler, I think it's better just to go for the Apollousa. Get that negate out of the way. We don't really need it, so there's that. Then they go for the Divisor King and choose the literal worst option here, but obviously not every opponent's going to do this. Even if they were to go for Apollousa here, though, we could literally just XZ on top of another one of our monsters, which would trigger the Shureg, which would trigger this effect, or we could just also activate our Trident and try and pop them, which would then trigger their effect, and then, you know, we could go off from there. So there's a lot of different options that we could do. They basically don't have any way to really interact with us. So at this point, the game is basically over. So yeah, we're going to add the Karos to our hand by searching it off of our Shureg, which they decided to ever so graciously get rid of. We're going to pop their last back row, just because I don't really want them to have any follow-up. Out comes the Karos. We're going to banish in order to go into the Doom Eagle. Doom Eagle is going to shuffle away the one card that they had, because everything else was Pendulum, so now our Doom Eagle is really big. We're going to go for the Choconine. Choconine is then going to bring back a material, so that we could use it later for a XZ summon. Or a Link Summon, sorry. We're going to then Link Summon into the Rugal and normal summon the Thoroughblade, which gets us to lethal. As I said, there are a lot of ways to get to lethal, so access code isn't really necessary here. And being locked into only using Beast, Beast Warrior, and Winged Beasts means that something like the Apollousa is just going to kind of sit there. So, cool. Alright, and here we are once again going second, and I swear this hand is different from the previous going second hand that we had, but again, not too unexpected. So my opponent is going to add their cards to hand and then reveal that they are playing Branded Opening, and I don't activate the Maxi here, but realistically I should have, so that they don't special the monster and instead add it. They do just add the card to their hand, which doesn't really matter all that much, but then they're going to activate their Edge Imp Chain. They're going to normal summon the Aluber and add the Branded Fusion. I'm going to activate, or they're going to activate the Branded Fusion, I'm going to activate the Ash, they're going to activate the Called By, and then I will chain to that the Max C. So at the very least, they are under their Max C, so turning out, it turns out that if we had gone for the Max C, it probably would have been Called By, and then we wouldn't, and then we would have negated the Branded Fusion, so it's kind of up in the air as to what you think would have been better. We draw the Called By the Grave, and they are going to activate their effect in order to search out their Dramaturg. Now, granted, we still have Nibiru, but most of the time they don't play into Nibiru. So at this point, I'm just kind of like, okay, what can we do? We have the Ram. There is a chance that we can do something, but they actually don't shuffle back the Albaz. So at this point, I'm a little bit confused as to what their plan is. And then I realized that they're going Masquerade. So I really don't know what they're actually trying to do. And then I see, oh, they're going to double Masquerade me. and with a Dramaturg, which honestly isn't terrible, except for the fact that it plays right into Nibiru. So I'm going to immediately drop this Nibiru, because I know that they don't really have anything else. Give them a big old fat token, and then they have a branded in red set. We know that it's branded in red due to the toggles that are available at the time, but yeah, we now have 6 cards in hand, and we have it called by the grave in order to negate their 1 point of interaction. So I really don't care at this point. The game is basically over. We're going to go for Cat. They don't have an Ash Blossom. Great. Don't have to call by that, which means I can actually call by their other interaction. Out comes the Ferrigite. They're going to activate, we're going to activate the kit. They're going to then special summon out their Masquerade to just kind of wall up. Doesn't really matter. We're going to search out the Fractal off of that Nerval that we sent. We're going to special summon out the Fractal and activate its effect in order to banish 1, 2, 3, 4 in order to go for our Shureg. Shureg's effect is going to activate. Of course, they're going to activate their branded in red, to the which I will respond with a call by. At this point, the game is over. I just have to get to lethal, which is a little bit tricky, but that's okay. We're going to link off into a Brave Brum, which will trigger our Shureg, which will search out the Karos, which we have not used. So we're going to special summon out our Karos. We will then pitch 2 with the Bear Brum in order to summon out the Nerval here, so that we can get another Link summon. We're then going to link off into an Apollousa to get Link Arrows, because we didn't have any, because I always end up putting the Ferrigite in this zone. I really should put it over here. That's a little mistake on my part. Just put your Ferrigite in the right zone, so that if you summon a Bear Brum, it has a Link Arrow to point to, so that you could summon something else. Big mistake on my part, but yeah, there you go. We're going to go for the Nerval here. We're going to banish 1, 2, 3 in order to go for the Doom Eagle, in order to deal with the Aluber. If we hadn't have dealt with the Aluber could have come back, negated one of our effects, most likely an Apollousa, which would then have also turned off the Apollousa's attack, and then also allowed them to have another monster on their side of the field. We don't really want that, so there's that. We're then going to activate the Karos in order to go for the the Ancient Warrior Oath. We're then going to go to battle, deal with the Masquerade, and attack for well over lethal. So there you go, good game. Alright, here we are going second, and I drew Lightning Storm. Nice. You like to see it. Lightning Storm, Effect Veiler, Imperm. Pretty good. My opponent is going to end the turn. Interesting. Okay, I draw Nerval for turn here, and we're going to just normal summon the kit and go into the Almirage, activate the kit. Out comes Ash. I'm not really too surprised, but honestly, I don't really want to commit that hard. I could have gone for the Ram, but I'm kind of scared of a Kaiju, and, you know, just immediately dealing with a Zeus. We have the Lightning Storm as follow-up. We have Effect Veiler. We have Imperm. I'm guessing that they are pretty much bricked, so yeah, I'm not really too worried. And out comes Runic. Now, I wanted to show you non-Runic games, but every single one of my opponents was playing Runic. The last 4 games, in order to get the rank up to Duel level 20, all of them were playing Runic. I do expect this deck to be pretty prevalent, especially at the lower levels of Stage 2. At the higher levels, I expect things like Branded, Sword Soul, Adamancipator, Tri-Brigade, stuff like that. But at the lower levels, this is what I expect. So, of course, we're going to go over this again, even though I made an entire video about countering this with this deck. So, anyway, they're going to then go for Reagan, which I will promptly negate with my Effect Veiler, because the Imperm is more valuable since it is on the field. We're going to draw into the Imperm. Cool. Anyway, we are going to then go for our Trident here. Trident effect will activate. We're going to pop their card and then go to battle. At this point, I'm actually just going to slap down a Zeus. And I know what you're saying. Why are we slapping down Zeus here? Well, the thing is, I'm kind of worried about a card that could destroy the Runic card that destroys a special summon monster, because it had something like that, or something activatable this entire time. They either have the negate or the destruction. I'm guessing they have both. They have like an Imperm and the negate Runic spell, or the negate and the destroy, or something like that. So I'm guessing that if I go into a Zeus here, it's gonna get destroyed either way. So I'm just like, let's just get Zeus on the field, make sure that it's there, and, you know, threaten this. So I'm gonna activate the effect, to the which they will then Imperm. And yeah, okay, not too surprised. Now, granted, I did have the Almirage, so even if they did have something that would have destroyed, we could have protected. But the fact of the matter is, I was kind of banking on them having two sorts of negates. Also, since I'm also expecting them to be playing some sort of Floodgate that would prevent me from going into Zeus, I was like, okay, they haven't flipped it. They're probably waiting for me to put more materials onto something before flipping it, so I'm just gonna go Zeus. So yeah, honestly, I don't think it really matters all that much. But yeah. We're going to then go for the Nerval. We're going to banish 1, 2, 3, 4 in order to go for a Shureg. Shureg effect is going to activate. It's Dark Ruler no more. Okay, interesting. At this point, we're just trying to find lethal. So we are going to search out 2 cards. We're going to search out the Fractal with our Shureg, and then, the Rescue Cat with our Shureg, and the Fractal with our Nerval. We're then going to summon the Fractal in order to go into our double Dragon Lords. And at this point, we have lethal, so I'm just going to attack, and that's game. Good game. So that's the deck. I do genuinely believe that this is the best version of Tri-Brigade in the current meta as well. Tri-Brigade Duelist is very strong, but the fact of the matter is that it loses to a lot of the other top tier strategies, and it doesn't have nearly as good of a going second option. Tri-Brigade Zoodiac, though, on the other hand, being able to go into Zeus and wipe your opponent's field is absolutely incredible. Being able to play as many hand traps and going second cards as you can in this build is absolutely incredible. Being able to have the Tri-Brigade and the Zoodiac stuff is absolutely incredible. And the actual, like, diversity of this build that you could go for is really good in a format like this, where you're able to change up your deck however you want. If you're dueling against more Runic, you can play more cards to deal with that, like more back row removal, things like Cosmic Cyclone and the like. If you're not dueling against Runic, if instead you're playing against Branded, maybe you could throw in DD Crows and stuff like that. And yeah, that's basically it, right? Just the absolute what is it? Flexibility, that's the word. Flexibility of this deck really makes it shine and really makes it very good in this type of format. Also, if you're really trying to go for those top spots, I do think that this is very nice, just due to the fact that you can win games very quickly. And you go first and go second, which is very, very important. Your combos are short. You're able to interact with your opponent importantly. You're able to set up some pretty decent boards as well, pretty decent points of interaction with very little commitment. So your games end up going a lot faster. So yeah, that's all of it. Whereas with something like Tri-Brigade Duelist, while I do think that that is a very good deck, and I still think that it is top tier, I just don't think it's the better version, due to the fact that it takes longer to do its combos, which does matter if at like the highest levels. Because you can only get in so many games, you know? But two, I think it doesn't go second nearly as well as this deck. Being able to just like normal summon a Zoodiac and threaten Zeus without activating any effect is absolutely insane. So yeah, there's that. That's it for the deck. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, it likes very much so appreciated. I know I did another video not too long ago on this deck, but I really did want to showcase this one in particular, what this deck was, why I think it's so good, and why I think you should be playing it for the second stage if you want to go for those higher slots. Anyway, that's it for today, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.